Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with either GeNext or GeNext United Issue 1. I don't know how to feel about this book. I've read it, and I'm still mulling my feelings over. So let's just dive straight into this and kind of see if you all can help me figure out my feelings on this book. The print date on it was July 2009. Now, one thing that I do want to preface, is the fact that in order to understand this book, there was another one that was GeNext 1 through 5 before they made this book, and this is supposed to take place directly after. So if you want to kind of get a quick read up on what this book's about, here's this. Pause it, check it out at your convenience. That said, though, the reason that I think there's a fatal flaw in this book is the fact that it initially stops directly after that last 5-issue miniseries. So if you weren't there, like let's just say you found this comic book in a dollar bin or you bought it at your local comic shop, and you open it up, you're like, what the hell is happening? Because that's what happened to me. I had to go Google what was going on. So this picks up directly after that. But before we go any further, let's talk about Passage to India on the Road Again by Chris Claremont and John Boy Myers. John Boy! Jim... Cheryl... I'm more than likely going to brutalize these, so feel free to make fun of me down in the comments. Jim Charalampidis doing the colors, Ed Dukeshire lettering, Jordan D. White was the editor, and here's everyone else working on the book. So X-Men was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Now, to kind of talk about the last 5 issues this is the future. Xavier's past, Cyclops is the head of the Academy, and Hank's kind of like the field, basically the main teacher, kind of like what Cyclops was. Most of the students are children of our favorite X-Men. So right here, this is Megan Frost. So obviously her mom is Emma. Not 100% sure on who the father was. And this book is just kind of, I'm trying to get everything together in my head. There's a team called the Exterminators or something like that. And it was kind of like the wild bunch of children. Like apparently one of them was Scott Summers' kid. Speaking of which, Scott doesn't want to do the X-Men anymore. He kind of wants to do what Xavier initially did with the New Mutants, where it was not supposed to be combat, just students. But these guys kind of ran off on their own because of stuff that happened in the last book, which is hard to keep up with. But you see there's Becca Monroe, so obviously who her mom is, Pavel Rasputin, Oliver Raven, I can't remember who Raven or Rico is, and then of course, No Name. And another thing about this book that just kind of killed me is, so for example, when when Lynn Wayne and Dave Cockrum initially introduced the new X-Men back in giant size, back in the 70s, they had colorful outfits and they all kind of had this personality. As we're here at these GeNexts, from what I understand, they don't really get uniforms yet. They're just, to me, I think, talking with you guys, I think I kind of hit the nail on the head. It just reminds me of Dawson's Creek because Oliver here is in a relationship with Megan. And she's like, oh, I miss you. And he's like, they're basically wanting privacy together. And she's like, but they're all staring. How totally low rent. So he does a sigh thing and, well... yeah, and I like how Hank's just like, I guess they missed each other. No point asking questions for the time being. Now here, Hank says, I understand why you guys came to save your teammates. I think it was No Name that got kidnapped by these exterminators, which again, in this book, that's it. This is all we really get as we're there. I guess they're supposed to be fleshed out in the prior book. But again, I've said this time and time again, every comic book should be your first comic. And I kind of get... that they sort of give you a quick summary, but I feel like this was just a little too shoehorned. So I don't know if that was on Claremont or if that was on editorial, but yeah. Anyway, Hank says, you guys get an ultimatum. The X-Men are no more. Headmaster Summers has already made that abundantly clear. So at this point, you guys can either accept what it is or move on. And I kind of like that. With all that said, we have some moments with Val Cooper, and it's just some really nice back and forth between her and Hank. And then this is kind of where I lose the book for me. Is there's a lot of talking because it's supposed to be a lot of inward reflection, but I hate that it's a whole issue to build that up. So, for example, with No Name here, she goes, why so surprised, Professor? Did you think I'd bolt? With all due respect, young lady, this is a precedent. Point taken. Matter of fact, that's pretty much what the others were going to tell me to do. Why didn't you then? I'm here to stay, Professor, if you'll have me. That's certainly a start, but I'm thinking it's past time we stop calling you No Name. Oh, I'm Anna Marie. You know that's the name of Ollie's mother. So Ollie's mother is Rogue. She takes that name. And then again, what I mean by it goes kind of go back to like that Dawson Creek's kind of Riverdale stuff is you could tell that No Name has a crush on Ollie, but Ollie's with Megan. Who gives a shit? There has to be a balance. So I've talked about, getting invested in characters' lives, which is the most important. The action's sort of like the cherry on top. But when it just kind of goes around, like standing and talking, with some more reflecting of standing and talking, along with some more standing and talking. And it's not till the very end that we're introduced to the next character that's supposed to come into the book. And this is where it got interesting, because all the reflection, I was like, man, that could have been summed up in 2 pages. So I don't know if that's, again, a Claremont or an editorial choice, but I mean, it's interesting how they're all, what they want to do in terms of staying with Xavier's school or moving on. But damn, that many pages. Because I would have loved to see more. And I think this character's name is Sati or Saji. I forget. But she's stuck in this storm and she can't figure out how to get out. And there's these demons chasing her. And it takes all the GeNext characters working together, using their various powers to bring her to Genosha. Because that's where they are. In this future, Genosha is a barren wasteland once again. And they finally were able to save this character. And you come to realize that her and Hank have a past. Sati, that's her name. She goes, Dr. McCoy, good morning, Sati. You're a fair way from home. Honored friend, I bid you greetings, as do I you, noble lady. And right there, that's cool, especially seeing Beast jump back into the fight, trying to get off these demons that are basically focusing, I think it's on Megan's Psylink with Sati. But then it's just like, okay, continue to the next issue. Ugh. Again, maybe it's just because I did not read the initial GeNext book, but damn, for a standalone, because this was 5 issues, and the standing around just, it sort of was off-putting for me, because at first, kind of showing these kids that ran away to Genosha, I get it, we need to kind of establish it, and then the end with Sati, that was awesome, but that middle of all that self-reflection, it makes sense why they did it, but we're not that invested in the characters yet, especially, as I said, if this is your first comic instead of reading the first 5, there has to be that balance, and I don't feel like there was a balance to this book, especially no uniforms. Like when you first look here, you're thinking, oh, this guy looks, his looks like an Age of Apocalypse version of his dad, and then she looks kind of like Boom Boom, and he has sort of that Nathan Summers look. This is going to be awesome. But then you flip it open and you get Dawson's Creek. And I think that's what really irked my Gurk, because everyone just kind of standing around in straight clothes talking. What do you guys think? If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever you like to pick up your comics and grab an issue or all 5 or the collected trade. Let me know what you think and if you've enjoyed this review. We really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little X bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I will make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.